Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday the 26th of February, coming to the end of February. It's incredible how fast the month goes. We're already going into the third month of the year. I'm sure everybody can relate to that. Today we're going to do just a fun exercise, as I like to do every day. Today we're going to do some kind of a mech robot. Haven't really figured out quite exactly what look I'm going for yet. Today I'm going to start out with the Prismacolor Premier sketch marker. These are great overall. They tend to wear out really fast if you use them a lot. I like Copic markers, Copic, whatever. Markers a little bit more. But these are great because how smooth they are, and they've got a nice broad tip, and also I can go really pointy. I never use this end, so. But what I'm doing basically right now is determining the gesture for the mech. I want him to kind of walk. It's really good if you study human anatomy. It's really good if you study animal anatomy. If you're going to be doing these things, you don't want to go into this project blind. You want to have those tools ready in your brain whenever you go and do them. So study anatomy as much as you can. There's great resources out there. There's great resources on the different media devices. And do something small every day. I keep iterating that. It's very important that you do that because it reinforces those concepts that you learn. It's just like riding a bike. You got to ride a bike a ton of times excuse me, to be able to be really good at it. And any teacher worth his weight in gold will tell you that practice is something that you have to do every day. I watched a video last night from a guy by the name of Jake Parker. He's a children's book illustrator, comic book illustrator, part of SVS Learn Online. Really just a great teacher. He's been doing this a while, and he came up with a great sort of analogy pertaining to talent. And I'm not going to sit down and steal his philosophy on talent, but what he said, in a nutshell, basically is there's two types of talent. You have people that are born with talent, and then you have people that are talented because of the amount of effort that they put in. And very rarely do you have a person that's extremely talented naturally, and then they pair it up with hard work. Sometimes you see these people in sports. Your Michael Phelps, your Michael Jordan. He basically had a real knack for basketball, and he learned that at a very young age. And he had people in his life to foster that, and he became great. And then you have somebody else like in the art world, if you can relate, Glenn Keane. Glenn Keane's a very famous animator. I worked for the Walt Disney Corporation for years and years, and more recently he's been online kind of showing off different new technologies of what the possibilities of animation are. And he, an extremely talented artist in the world of animation, and also he had a father that was an artist, and that particular relationship, really, it's very important. As parents, we really have to encourage that aspect of our children. So he had that in his life, and that really helped out. And then you have somebody that like me, who has a degree of natural ability. And I do say degree because there are varying degrees. And you say somebody, oh, you're so talented. Well, talented is something that comes easy. Talent is something that comes easy. Well, to me, to be able to stay up and to really enjoy and to learn, I have to do this, every day. It's an innate, it's an inner need that I have to just keep learning. And of course, if I stopped, and I did that for a while, I stopped art altogether. Back whenever I was deciding on what to do with my life. And some of you are actually doing that, right? You're deciding on what to do with your life. And I stopped. And what I realized is whenever I came back to it, it was still there. So my degree of natural ability may be higher than some people coming up. However, it's nowhere near. It's nowhere near, I would say, some of those people that are currently in the industry. You know, I work at. I'm a in-house freelance contractor for the Disney company at Disney Design Group, and you know, for years and years, I relied upon the fact that I was around people that were less naturally talented and also less had less drive, and you know, that really put me in a place of power. Whereas now, you know, I'm around people that are uber just so much more talented. And things come easy and they see things quicker, and it is an amazing thing whenever you're around people that have the ability to change you. And that's an important thing because you really need to be around people that sharpen you. You know, if you're in a place, you're at a job that, you know, you're bored. Let's be frank, you're bored, and the reality is, you know, you're walking around with a big chip on your shoulder, and you're like, well, I'm better than these. And that's the worst part. That is the worst person you can be, because you are now untrainable, and frankly, you know, you're relying upon your talent to get you where you need to go, and ultimately, at the end of the day, unless you're a Michelangelo, you're going to fall flat on your face, because what most of us have is a degree of talent and hard work, degrees of hard work. I mean, you have lazy people, you have, you know, people that don't just have that drive or that fire. But in a nutshell, basically what Jake was iterating to you is, or to me whenever I was watching the video, and was the fact that you can, if you work really hard, and since this, you know, the drawing thing is partially, you know, it's a skill, it is partially a skill, and that's the reality. We all have to look at that and say, wow, you know, if I really try hard enough, I can eventually, after years and years of practice, become good. And that is the truth. You will train your brain to see a certain way, and that's the reality of it. You really you have to be encouraged in the fact that, you know, drawing is a skill for one thing, but it's also, it can be so much more in the context of your life. It is fun. It helps me see, it helps me think, like sitting here and talking to you and going through the motions here. I'm thinking about weight. I'm thinking about where this mech is. You know, he's kind of turned. You know, here's the main area where maybe light might come out, and then I come up and I have the opening for the door mechanism. You know, maybe the character's sitting up here. Maybe, you know, I haven't decided what kind of character he's going to be yet. But basically what this does is it helps clear my mind. And I'm not doing this for any particular reason other than to make the video. Last night, I was laying in bed, as I do a lot of times, and I'm, you know, thinking about life, and as a lot of us do. And I was thinking to myself, man, I've got this itch. And, you know, it's not a real itch. I'm not going to sit there and scratch myself, but it was an itch to draw. And I had to recognize, you know, over years and years of doing this, I have now recognized when I need to get up and I need to draw. So I did. I got up and I drew a picture. I don't know where it is. What am I gonna do with my picture? Oh, so here's the picture I drew last night, just for fun, just an exercise. You know, it's a cat. It's kind of a minor cat. I don't know. I just sat down, started drawing, just having fun. Then I inked it up. Took me about half an hour. So, just a little exercise, you know, to kind of put into the toolbox. And then this morning I got up. I'm like, you know, I kind of still have that itch. So that's what I'm doing right now. So what I'm basically doing right now is I'm kind of deciding on what kind of a mech this is going to be. You know, is it going to be a traditional mech, kind of new? Maybe a steampunk mech. I kind of like the idea of steampunk mech, so I thought maybe I might do that. So I've got to do its steam stacks here that come up. And again, whenever I'm doing these things, I'm consistently thinking of perspective, of form, placement, gesture. And, you know, these things equate, you know, you're not going to sit there, oh, it's the form good. I don't know. Maybe I need to come over here. What it equates to, and I keep iterating that I think about it. The thing is that thinking has now developed into a feeling. So a lot of you artists can relate to this. You know, I'll be working and dang, something just doesn't feel right about this piece. What is going on? And then you realize that the perspective's off and the things that you thought you were doing just at the end of the day aren't working. I mean, the other day I started on a piece because I'm doing a whole animal piece line of apparel for running. And, you know, I'm on my second piece and I started it out, you know, I really didn't want to do it. And, yeah, I want to do it. You know, I started doing it anyway, and you know what happens whenever you really don't want to do something, it just didn't happen. And it didn't feel right. So I had to, you know, I trashed it. And, you know, I'll end up coming back to it this weekend. And that's okay. That is okay. So this morning, I'm just cranking this out really quick as a quick sketch. You know, I'm going to sit here with a pen real quick, and I'm going to ink just the real simple stuff in this piece, and I'll probably end up coming back to it a little bit later on, you know, maybe defining some of the forms a little bit better, maybe put some color in here. But today I've got to go to my freelance gig, so yeah, I've got a lot of stuff I got to do over there. And you know, I asked one of the artists there the other day, I really don't know if they subscribe or what they do. I don't market myself as far as, hey guys, I got a video. And that's one thing you don't need to do is, if somebody's giving you an opportunity, is you don't need to keep shoving your crap in their face and, you know, check me out, it's me, it's all about me, you need to follow me. No. What I basically, you know, do is I'll do, you know, a yearly, kind of a year in review, and I'll print stuff out and I'll just leave it with them and they can kind of look at stuff. And this is over at Disney, and they're very, very, very generous. And they're just a lot of nice people, you know. It's hard and very rare these days to find a company, you know, and I know Disney's a big company and they've done a lot of things, and so then I'm going to move on. Typically you guys see me use this is a brush pen, and I love the brush pen, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I think it's going to fall again. If it falls, it falls. I have to use super glue. Anyway, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use one of these. This is also a pen that I received from Jet Pens. Kiritaka. Made in Japan. You order these. I think it costs $3. And they sent it to my house. This, along with a whole collection of other wonderful Japanese pens from jetpens.com. And no, I'm not promoting them. But it is a resource, so I want you guys to know about the resource that I received some of my art supplies from. I'm constantly looking for different quality of you know, art supplies to add to my collection. So whenever you ink one of these things, or at least what I'm doing right now, is just kind of loose. You know, following the forms, I'm figuring out what makes sense. You know, where the shadowing is, maybe it goes here. You know, it's around here and kind of loose. I want it to be loose. And you know, this pen is great because it's hard the further on the nib that you go up close to the shaft of the pen, so it becomes stiffer the harder I push, and it becomes wider, which is really cool. But so yeah, I'm just gonna go around, and it looks, you know, maybe he's been in a couple battles. He's bent right here. And of course you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's gonna crack it right there. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Okay. Typically, instead of going right into pen, which is very bold, you know, some people might come back and refine with a, with a pencil, and that was probably a good idea for me to do because I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here, and some of the forms aren't really gelling that well. But on the whole, it's not going to be a horrible piece to do this. Okay. And two, whenever you do stuff like this, you know, don't stress out. Don't stress out. You know, it's very interesting, you know, as I've said before, how much people stress. And then we've got a billowing. Comes around. There we go. How much people stress out about their drawing, and why, you know, a lot of times a really good artist will destroy himself in his brain, you know, way before he even starts working on a piece. You know, for the longest time, I was afraid, and I know this is so silly, and you know, you're gonna be like, Mike, you kidding me, right? No, this is a complete truth. I was afraid of watercolor. I said it. Fine, I said it. I was afraid of the watercolors. Why? Why are you so afraid of watercolor? Why didn't you embrace? Why didn't you take your own medicine? You know, you're sitting here telling us to do certain things, and yet, you know. I'm going to tell you why I was afraid of watercolor. Because to me, watercolor represented a failure. You know, throughout your artistic life, you'll do certain things and then you'll label them. Oh, you know, I can't do that because it's too hard. Or I can't do that because the first time I did it, I completely sucked at it. Well, you know, now that I'm a little bit older, just a little bit. I'm just a little bit older. I'll be a little bit older this month because this month's my birthday. And yes, I do accept checks, money orders, and PayPal. So if you guys are interested, mclarida@gmail.com. You know, support the cause. And of course, I'm kidding. And I deemed watercolor as something that I was not interested in anymore, because the first couple times I tried it, oh my gosh, it was brutal. And brutal meaning it stunk. I was horrible at it. And, you know, through the years, I had the opportunity to do even more watercolor, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll try. I suck at it. I don't do it. I remember the first time I did this, I hated it. There's no control, like, you know, there's so many variables, you gotta have water. I don't want to deal with water. I'm a pencil guy. I'm a pencil guy. That's it. I'm done. I'm a pencil guy. I'm a pen guy. And that's the way it's gonna be. And what I failed to realize is how wonderful watercolor is. I had labeled it, and I was basically missing out on a world of awesomeness. Now that I'm older and I have a little bit more patience, you know, I've gotten back into painting and watercolor and you know, different types of media, and just really enjoying the you know, the fun. And watercolor to me now is as enjoyable, if not more enjoyable, than some of my existing types of media that I use. Medium. medium. So anyway, what I'm going to do with this piece is I'm going to continue on and I'm going to time lapse. You guys can enjoy the ride. And you know, whenever I'm completed and done, I'll post the video. Of course, you guys will see it in its entirety. And then what I might do, because I've got a store online now, I've had one for a while. You know, as artists, we always experiment and try to do stuff to make the monies, because we want to be able to do this for a while, you know. And my store currently is comprised of, you know, a running apparel piece and some running apparel. And I'm gonna be getting into a little bit more stuff like this. So, you know, maybe I'll put a bunny rabbit at the top here, and you know, this is his mode of transportation. Anyway, so you guys enjoy, like, and subscribe if you can. What that does, if you don't understand the way YouTube works, is, you know, the more likes and subscribes, and it gets put in different places, and you know, in terms of their homepage, and you know what's trending, and you know, the search engine, and all these things, and it really, you know, all that stuff helps. I have not made a dime from YouTube, so you know, my videos aren't there yet. So it'll get there one day, I hope. It's like, you know, I say, you take one day at a time, one moment at a time, and eventually you will get there, right? Okay, guys, thank you, and you have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday. And I'll go ahead and watch the time lapse and enjoy. Thank you.